Welcome to this week's Wellness Webcast. I am Mo Wolf, CEO of Little Honeys LLC, makers of Bee Rescue Propolis Care and Bee Energized Raw Bee Pollen products. I am your guide today as we talk about all things wellness and bee related. Not that we will be related. I don't think you'd want to admit that in public. Most of my relatives don't want to admit that in public. It is another beautiful day in southern Wisconsin. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and you know what? It's just, we had rain yesterday, and it's just beautiful today. Just, beautiful. We have Mr. Sadler with us today. Julius is monitoring the phones for your phone calls. If you'd like to be part of the show, give us a call. 1-855-679-5433. 1-855-679-5433. Give us a call if you have a wellness story to tell, something to tell us about Bee Rescued Propolis Care, or if you just want to drop in and say hi. If you have a question about the show, what have you. Give us a holler. Don't send us smoke signals because we're in a building. We can't see them. Hey. Mr. Sadler, did you all see this week? There was a woman in Iowa who decided that, bless her heart, she decided she was going to take matters into her own hands, and she was very serious about losing some weight. And so she bought a tapeworm over the internet, ingested it, and the article I read didn't go into any detail about how much weight she'd been losing or anything like that, but it did talk about how she went to her doctor, and her doctor found out that she had a tapeworm and that she gave herself a tapeworm. What kind of a world are we living in here? She gave herself a tapeworm. And the doctor, you know, he's not a veterinarian. He doesn't see too many tapeworms. I mean, he's a doctor in a first world country. Tapeworms are not something he's used to dealing with. So he contacted the public health department and said, I don't even know if this is a mandatory reporting, but I've got a patient with a tapeworm. Any suggestions what I should do? And the health department came back and said, well, you give the patient anti-tapeworm drugs, and gave him the list of drugs. And the point is, don't eat a tapeworm. There's better ways to lose weight. There's safer ways to lose weight. We've talked about ways to lose weight here. We are on the cutting edge of society here at the Wellness Webcast. We are on the cutting edge of medicine here at the This is one fancy, highfalutin show. Who would have thunk it? Yeah, we're talking about tapeworms. Let's reel it in here. My handlers are saying, okay, enough about the tapeworms. I don't know. Tapeworms are kind of a warm, squishy subject. Well, I'm getting to it. This week, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we are going to be talking about what to do if you're faced with a very serious diagnosis. What do you do if you're faced with a serious diagnosis? What do you do if your doctor comes to you with some very bad news? I remember at one point in my life, I was sitting in an emergency room, sick as a dog. It was one of those times when you have to get well to die, you know? And my wife and my brother were there, and the doctor pulled them out of the room to talk to them first, so I knew it was bad news. And then my brother came in and told me what was going on. The doctor came in and answered any questions I had. I'm laying there like this. What questions would I have? The point is, today we're going to talk about when you are faced with something serious like that, what do you do? When you are faced with a situation, that crisis of health, where you've got to decide, am I going to remain the course of degenerating health that I've been following? Or am I going to try for excellence? Am I going to try to have a better health and wellness? Am I going to be a better steward of what God's given me in my body? Hey, this is the only one you get. You better do something good with it. You better take care of it. It's not like your car. You can go out and find another loan, buy another one. It's not like your car where you can even, replace engines. And this is the only body you get. What are you going to do with it? For those of you that are facing a crisis, how do you deal with it? Well, I make a lot of people uncomfortable in the alternative medicine world because I tend to look at wellness, I tend to look at treating patients' disease, I tend to look at it as though it's combat. I tend to look at it as though it's war. You're going to war against your disease. And I probably do that because of the seriousness and depth of illness that I came through. It tends to change how you look at the world. And it should. It should. The first thing that you do when you're faced with that bad news, or when you make that determination, I don't want to live like this. First thing you do is you develop your mindset. You set your mind. You make your determination, I'm going to win. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to win. There's a fellow, Dr. Bueller, I think he practices out of Colorado, but he wrote, you should never become your disease. The moment you do, you are dead. Don't become your disease. You are not a cancer patient. You are not fibromyalgia. You are a human being who is battling cancer. You are combating cancer on a cellular level. It's even tighter than hand to hand. It's a cell to cell fight. We're going cell to cell here. You are not fibromyalgia. You are not a sufferer of fibromyalgia. You are a human being who's duking it out with fibromyalgia. You are not a migraine sufferer. You are someone who is under attack from migraines and is fighting back. Do you see the difference in mind? Now, I know a lot of people right now are listening to this are going to be uncomfortable because you're saying, oh, fighting is bad. Well, there's a time and place for it. And this is a great time and place to fight. You fight for your life. You fight for your wellness. You fight for your family's life and wellness. These are the things that we toe the line and we go to battle for. So we make that mindset, I am going to win. He talked to a police officer on a tough beat. When they're strapping on their gear, their vest, their Sam Brown belt, what do you think goes through their brain before they walk out the door and get in their car and their squad and they hit their beat? What do you think goes through their brain? Most of the folks that I've talked to, it's on the forefront of their brain. At the end of my shift, I'm going home. No matter what happens, I'm going home. It's that mindset. It's that mindset that I will win. We have to have that with our own bodies. We have to have that mindset towards disease. We have to have that mindset with our own wellness. I will be victorious. Don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but you know what? I'm not going to let this thing kick me. Number 2, second thing we got to do is gather your intel before you can start going battling cell to cell. We will fight from the streets. We will fight. That's a lousy Churchill impersonation. I am sorry that you had to witness that. Before you start battling cell to cell, you've got to know who your enemy is. Well, I know what my enemy is. My enemy is Crohn's disease. Now, wait a minute. What does that mean? Well, I know how it makes me feel, but you only know part of it. What is your enemy? Start studying it. Start studying whatever the disease is that's attacking you. Start studying your body. You start studying wellness. How to best keep that machine that God built into you tuned for optimum performance. Start studying your enemy. Start studying your options. Don't just limit yourself to one modality of treatment. Don't just limit yourself to one option that they tell you, this is what you've got to do. Study your options. Study your enemy. Gather as much intelligence as you can. Now, we're living in 2013. For heaven's sakes, I'm sitting in my office. I've got a couple computers going. I have access to more information right now than any of the greatest minds in history. It's kind of overwhelming. Used to be you had access to whatever was in the library down the street and whatever you had on the bookshelf. That was your information. Everybody had World Book encyclopedias. Didn't know the meaning of a word, you'd go to a dictionary and you'd look it up. Now, what do people do? Oh, I don't know that. Let me look it up here. And you've got it on your phone. In fact, I think Mr. Zuckerberg, that's just a fun name to say, Zuckerberg. Mr. Zuckerberg was talking the other day about the fact that I think he said 1.6 billion people. I don't know if that was either on Facebook or are online. If it's online, that's an incredible number of people that are online. If it's the number of people that are on Facebook, that's crazy big. But either way, you've got all of these people all around the world. Doesn't even matter if it's a first world country anymore. You can go into the third world and people are sitting there on their smartphones. People have access to information just about wherever you go, and they can access some of the finest research and study it. And you can get intelligence. You can develop intel on just about any pathogen that you're facing. Any disease that you're facing. You can get all kinds of intel on wellness, how to keep your body tuned for optimum performance. It's at your fingertips. Are you going to use it? So number 1, develop your mindset. I will win. Number 2, gather your intel. Study your enemy. Study your options. Number 3, strategize. And you don't strategize by yourself. You choose your ally, or better yet, allies. That doctor that brings you the bad news, you don't just say, oh, okay, I'm 100% in your hands. No. Stop. You got to rewind just a little bit. If that's what you're going to do, you're not going to get any intel on your enemy. You're not going to look at what your options are. You're just going to sit there and let someone tell you. And granted, there's a time and place for that, but that's few and far between. The idea is pick some really good generals. Pick a team. You don't go into combat by yourself. You get the best outfitted, best trained, most intelligent people that you can find to back you up. And you get a support chain. You know, in real war, they have their supply chains and the trucks are all going out there. And when we're battling disease, we have to have a support chain. We have to have people that will come beside us and say, are you eating? Is there some way I can help you today? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? People to hold us accountable. People to encourage us. People to pray for us. We need these things. This is your supply chain. And you got to keep it simple. You determine your plan with your allies, and you set up your support chain, your supply line. That's your lifeline. Number five, you execute your plan. That's what a lot of folks don't realize is you don't just set your plan and I am going to stick to this plan no matter what. No. You have to remain flexible. Sun Tzu, the guy that wrote The Art of War, he was a Chinese general between, I don't know, what was it, 590 something BC and 4 something BC, I don't remember. Around the 5th century BC. Did incredible things with a very small army. Comparatively small army. And he wrote this treatise on war, and it was called The Art of War, and it has impacted Western culture immensely. You've got people that have written books about it. One book I'm thinking of is The Art of Wear, and that was applying Sun Tzu's principles from warfare to advertising. They've got it for business. They've got it for sports. You name it. Well, one of the things that old Sun Tzu said was, after you've made your plan, remain flexible. Because battle is a dynamic situation. It's always changing. Well, not only is your battle with your disease a dynamic situation, but your body is a dynamic system. Your body is not the same today that it was yesterday. Tomorrow, your body will not be the same as it was today. I might be stronger today than I was 2 years ago. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be stronger than I was today. Maybe I'll be weaker. Maybe I'll have a cold tomorrow. The point is, the body's a dynamic system. It's changing. The pathogens that we fight are dynamic. They're always changing. I mean, look at the flu bug and how that's changed. How every year we've got medical science manufacturing several different types of flu vaccine, because they don't know which flu bug is going to hit, so they have the statisticians work on that and try to dwindle it down to the top 2 or 3, and then they pick one from there. The point is, the attacks on your body are not going to be the exact same attack every time. And even in the middle of battle, those attacks will change. So the idea is to remain flexible. Develop your team so that your team is flexible. You may have an excellent strategy. You may have a lousy strategy. Either way, at some point, it's going to have to be adjusted. You're going to have to tweak it a little bit to meet the needs of the body. You're going to have to tweak it a little bit because that pathogen might be causing other snowballing effects that have to be addressed. Or maybe your plan is going great, but you've uncovered other problems that need to be addressed. Be flexible. Let me read you a quote from Sun Tzu. He said, "Victorious warriors win first, then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win." If you're faced with a life-threatening disease, if you're faced with a life-altering disease, if you're faced with any disease, the first thing you do is you set your mind. You say, I'm going to be victorious. First thing you do, mindset, I'm going to win. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war. You make that determination. Number 2, you gather your intelligence. You study your enemy. You study your options. Number 3, you strategize. You choose your allies. You determine who is going to be on your side in this fight. And you choose the strongest allies you can, the folks that have the most knowledge, the folks that have the most kit, the most equipment to fight in this battle. And you choose a group of allies that can work together. A dear friend of mine, he's a licensed acupuncturist out of Milwaukee, and I think it's fantastic because people that he regularly treats, some of them are going through very serious illness, and he has been known to sit across the table from them and their general practitioner or their specialist, whoever it is that he's working with. And he'll work with the doctors to say, this is what I'm focusing on as an acupuncturist, as an herbalist. This is what I'm doing. This is my outlook for what this patient, this is what I see. Then the primary care physician, the doctor, the specialist, whoever he's working with can then say, oh, all right, that's fantastic. This is what I'm doing. And you get both of these doctors, well, he'd shoot me for calling him a doctor, you get both of these healthcare practitioners to be working together with the patient for what's best for the patient. So you gather your team, you develop your allies, you get them together so that they can choose their strategy, and you determine the plan. What are we going to do? What's our treatment strategy? And you work with your allies to develop that strategy. And you don't overextend yourself. You need to set up a supply chain. You don't overextend yourself because then you're worn down. Then your body can't fight as well. What are some of the ways we overextend ourselves? Well, we obsess on it and we work too hard. Thinking of one fellow that I know, comes to clinic with aches and pains and different muscle pulls. Well, then you find out that he works out like a fiend. And you say, whoa, slow down, partner. Of course you're hurting. We haven't gotten this problem in your low back fixed yet. And so now your body's torquing a little bit and adjusting, and it's fusing muscles together so that it can have better mechanical advantage. So when you're pumping your iron, your body can function. Slow down. Focus. One thing at a time. Don't overextend yourself. Work with your allies. Develop your plan. Don't overextend yourself. Get yourself a supply chain so that way you've got people to support you, to encourage you, to pray for you, to keep you accountable. Number 5, execute your plan. And remember, remain flexible. The body is a dynamic system. The body is a dynamic system, and disease is dynamic. It's always fluctuating, changing. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, beware. Wasn't that some song about pink elephants? Be flexible. Get a good team. And remember, don't ever become your disease. Don't ever become your disease. You become a warrior, and you become the person who's going to go home at the end of the shift. You become that mindset that I'm going to be victorious in this battle. It might hurt. I might take a whooping, but in the end, I'm going to win. I hope that this was encouraging. I hope that if you're going through a chronic disease, if you're facing one of these battles, I hope I've encouraged you. I hope I've given you some direction here to think in. If you are someone who wants to take command of your wellness, I hope I've encouraged you to do so. I hope I've given you a blueprint for how to do it. On behalf of all of us here at Little Honeys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact us either through our YouTube page or you can email us directly. Look at us, contact us through Facebook, We Rescue Hopeless Care on Facebook, Siloam Center on Facebook. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, be well.